It's my great honor and pleasure to talk to you today at the International Congress of Dermatology. I'll discuss gender disparities in academic dermatology in Japan, mostly based on our recent research result from the first national survey. What comes to mind when you think of Japanese symbols? You may think of Mount Fuji or maybe sumo. But did you know that women were banned from climbing Mount Fuji until 1872? You may say, oh, this is an old story. Women can climb Mount Fuji without problems, so don't make a fuss. Maybe you're right, but what about this? In 2018, Japanese female medics tried to save a man's life in the sumo ring because he had suffered a stroke. They started emergency resuscitation, but the sumo referee ordered them out of the sumo ring because it's a male-only place. So they couldn't continue with the resuscitation. The sumo referee didn't understand the priority. A man's life or sacred place for men only. To this day, the sumo ring is considered a secret place for men only. In the most recent Global Gender Gap report, published by the World Economic Forum, Japan ranked 120th out of 156 countries, while it rose by one place from 121st at the time of the previous report. It remains in the bottom group. Japan's ranking is the worst among the G7 countries. Look at this group photo of present Japanese cabinet. There are only 2 women ministers, making up just 10% of the cabinet. The country's continued poor performance in narrowing the gender gap was highlighted by sexist remarks made by Yoshiro Mori, a former Japanese prime minister who was forced to step down in February this year as head of the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Organizing Committee. A wide gender gap exists till date in many fields in Japan. Medicine is no exception. Women accounted for 33.6% of successful applicants in the National Medical Practitioners Qualifying Examination in 2021. This is not because female test takers had poorer grades than their male counterparts. Until very recently, several Japanese medical schools ensured that they had a limited number of female applicants by unfairly reducing the female applicants' test scores by as much as 20% in the entrance examination. Japan is a nation with low awareness of gender equality. There is a very wide gender gap in medicine. In 2018, 21.9% of all physicians in Japan were women. Only 3.7% of full professors and 6.6% of professors were women. How about in the field of dermatology? In Japan, dermatology is a medical field with the highest proportion of women doctors. Therefore, women should play a key role in dermatology. Here is an interesting study. The researchers elucidated the state of gender equality in high-quality dermatological research by analyzing the representation of female authorships from 2008 to 2017. Women held 43% of all authorships, 50.2% of first authorships, and so on. The integration of female scholars is better compared with other medical disciplines. That's very good. However, they found distinct differences at the country level. The country where female authorship was highest was Finland, with a ratio of 66.7%. That's very good. Any guesses which country had the poorest ratio in terms of female authorships? It was Japan, with a ratio of 25.3%. In the discussion of this article, they said that it is plausible to assume that these regional differences were not caused by discipline-specific characteristics, but primarily by social cultural factors, as Japan is characterized by a strong sense of patriarchy and traditional gender roles in society. They look at Japan as a country of patriarchy with traditional gender roles in society. I felt that I must do something about this. Then another study assessed 120 US dermatology department websites in 2017 and identified 685 profiles and used the Harsh index or H index, which is defined as shown on this slide as an indicator of academic productivity. They found that only 36% of full professors in dermatology were women. However, they didn't find statistically significant gender differences in academic performance when normalized by career length for each academic rank. How about in Japan? No study has assessed the specific reasons for the apparent gender gap in the field of dermatology in Japan. Therefore, for the first time in Japan, we conducted a cross-sectional study of dermatologists working as faculty members at the dermatology department of all 100 academic institutions. We assessed the same indicators used in the US-based study so that we can compare the result. We assessed gender, academic position, year of first publication, H index, and other indicators. We identified 782 academic staff members in Japan, of which only 35.4% were women, whereas in the United States, 53.9% were women. With regard to academic position, the proportion of women declined sharply as the position rose. Women accounted for only 9.5% of the chairperson's position, confirming that women are severely underrepresented in Japan's top tiers of academic dermatology. We next studied whether there was a statistically significant difference in the ease of promotion between men and women. The odds ratio of men being promoted to senior positions is higher than that of women in both Japan and the United States, but the odds ratio is much higher in Japan. What is the mechanism of these gender disparities? Two possible mechanisms that prevent women from being promoted have been proposed. The glass ceiling mechanism, where the unseen yet unbreakable barrier that keeps women from rising to the upper positions, regardless of their qualification or achievement. And the leaky pipeline mechanism, where women are leaking out of the careers. If there is no difference in academic performance between men and women in the lower positions, then there might be a glass ceiling. If there is a difference in academic performance, women may be dropping out of the pipeline. First, we assessed whether the H index could be used as an indicator of academic performance for Japanese dermatologists at academic positions. The answer was yes. The mean H indices increased significantly with ascending academic positions and longer career lengths, which was estimated as shown on this slide. The H and M indices were then analyzed by gender. The M index was calculated by dividing the H index by the academic career lengths to normalize for career lengths. In both indices, men scored significantly higher than women. Next, we compared the H indices in each academic rank. There were no significant gender differences in the positions of associate professors and higher designations, suggesting that academic productivity was independent of gender in these ranks, as shown in the upper panel. However, female lecturers and assistant professors had significantly lower H indices than their male counterparts. Similar trends were observed in the US study. Moreover, this gender difference was significant even after normalizing for career lengths by looking at M indices in Japan. In the United States, the gender difference disappeared when the data was normalized for career length. This suggests that in Japan, women dermatologists in lower positions cannot be promoted partly because of their lower academic performance. The odds ratio of men to be promoted is high, 4.1. As promotion and academic performance are correlated, we did a logistic regression analysis to see whether gender and academic performance could influence promotion. The results showed that the promotion to associate professor or higher designation was still significantly related to gender. Odds ratio of men compared to women was 1.71. Odds ratio of +1 H index was 1.24. So men were still more likely to be promoted than women. Because gender and academic performance had effect modification, we performed a stratified analysis. Stratified analysis was performed by dividing the study population into an H index lower than 9 and 9 or higher, the top third, and into men and women. We found that the H index was significantly associated with promotion in both groups. Interestingly, gender was significantly correlated with a promotion in the group with an H index lower than 9, but not in the group with a higher H index. This suggests that being male is advantageous for promotion in the group with a lower 2/3 of the H index. Male dermatologists with a lower H index may have been promoted for their contributions other than writing papers in English, such as administrative, educational, and clinical achievement. Here is a forest plot showing again that men with a lower H index were promoted more easily than women. Our study confirmed that women were highly underrepresented in decision-making positions in academic dermatology in Japan. We also found that women's academic performance was lower than that of men in the lower positions. Our survey also showed that men and women were equally promoted if they engaged in high levels of academic research activities. Between the two possible mechanisms that prevent women from being promoted, it appears that the leaky pipeline is more of an issue among Japanese female dermatology academics. The main reason for the low percentage of Japanese female dermatologists at higher academic positions is not overt gender discrimination, but the tendency for female faculty members to leave academic institutions before they can achieve further academic achievement. How can we patch the leaky pipeline? First, we need to let go of conservative family values that expect women to handle all the household work by themselves. We need to help women doctors become aware of and overcome their unconscious bias. They must know and accept that they need not to do all the work themselves. Gender roles are deeply rooted in Japanese society. Even if there are equal educational opportunities, there is often a bias that puts the burden of housework and child rearing on women. Such gender bias and stereotypes influence medical school admissions, learning opportunities, faculty hiring, promotion, and so on. In modern times, many resources make household chores much easier, and they can use social resources such as nursery schools. There is a myth called the till 3-year-old in Japan, which is that children should be taken care of by their mother's hand in their houses until the age of 3. There is no scientific evidence to support this myth. We need to change our mindset. We need to let our old mindset go. We need to let it go. This is where I'm releasing my usual solemn attitude, by the way. The second way to patch the leaky pipeline is to support women to build more confidence in themselves. Previous studies have shown that women physician scientists underestimated their abilities in clinical research. Therefore, women should be aware of this tendency and have confidence in their capabilities. Women need to lean in. To mitigate the gender gap in the field of academic dermatology, we propose the following three measures. First, both men and women need to be aware of their own implicit gender bias and improve gender equity in the workplace and home. Second, the gender bias mindset of academics in managerial positions need to change. Third, there is a need to improve the career support activities, including providing mentorship programs and role models for female medical students and young doctors. We have studied the current gender inequality in Japanese dermatology. I am now having the opportunity to raise awareness by speaking at this meeting. The next step is to implement policies that aim to support diversity in dermatology. I'm confident that we can achieve this soon. I'm grateful to all the people who participated in this study, particularly Dr. Mari Kishibe. I want to thank Drs. Akimichi Morita, Masa Amagai, and Kenji Kawashima, and the members of the Diversity Committee of JSID for their continuous encouragement during this study. Thank you very much for your kind attention.